Шановні колеги, вітання.
Dear colleagues, we are starting our briefing subject, the security situation and the activities of the OSCE SMM. Our speaker is Mr. Alexander Hook, Principal Deputy Chief Monitor of the OSCE SMM. The briefing will be in English. Please.
Good afternoon, dear friends. It has been a while since I've been here last time, and since I last spoke here, there has been a serious deterioration in the security situation in Donbas. Last week we recorded twice as many ceasefire violations along the contact line as we had the previous week. The wave of violence has in particular spread to the areas east and northeast of Mariupol. We recorded a 9-fold increase in the number of ceasefire violations there last week. On just one day, on 12th of October, our monitors heard at least over 500 explosions in the area. On that day, our monitors in so-called DPR-controlled Saichenko heard an uncountable number of explosions and fires from various weapons, including multiple launch rocket systems. They subsequently heard an additional 150 explosions there. Dear friends, it's now exactly a month since the sides to the conflict in Ukraine signed a framework decision on disengagement on forces and hardware. With an estimated almost 10,000 people killed in Donbas and 3 times as many injured, something had to be done. All previous agreements, in terms of ceasefire, withdrawal of weapons, demining, had been only partially implemented. We in the OSCE Special Monitoring Mission had also long noted the connection between violence and the proximity of forces and hardware. We saw in the Pavlopil-Komiternova area, northeast of Mariupol. We saw it in Zaitsevo near Horlivka, in Stanica Luhanska, and in particular in the Donetsk airport, Yasinovata-Avdiivka triangle. And as the latest violence demonstrates, we continue to see that connection. Where the sides positioned closer together, there is inevitably violence. On 21st September, when the sides have signed the framework agreement, I thought they understood this correlation too. I still think they do. With our teams on the ground every day attempting to monitor the 3 disengagement areas, we have noted a real effort to disengage. We have seen position dismantled in the Solote-Pervomaisk area, and personnel and hardware being packed up and moved out of the Solote-Pervomaisk and Petrivske-Bohdanivka areas. We have seen some demining too. All of which tells me that the sides do understand that proximity and violence go hand in hand. The sides have clearly demonstrated that they are serious about disengaging. They have also demonstrated that they can disengage. Both sides have shown that command and control works. We saw this particular at the start of the new school year. The guns fell silent then, if only for one night. Armed men all along the contact line did exactly as they were ordered to do, namely nothing. And yet, a month after signing the framework decision, this process is stalled. Dear friends, The fact that the OSCE SMM has been unable to verify that the sites have disengaged. The sites have agreed in the framework decision and indeed in the Minsk memorandum that they would ensure unhindered, unfettered access and secure access for the SMM. In reality, however, the SMM has had, at best, limited access to the free disengagement areas. As long as the sites refuse to remove mines from these areas, it is impossible for the SMM to enter these areas, to monitor these areas, and to verify that disengagement has taken place from these areas. There are many reasons for the violence we see now, but one of them is surely the mistrust between the sides. Instead of trying to rebuild trust, the sides have been doing the opposite. Every day our monitors are on the ground, and every day they have faced restrictions to their freedom of movement in these areas. Last week alone, our patrols in the free disengagement areas were in fact restricted 56 times in specific occasions. Armed so-called DPR and so-called LPR members and Ukraine Armed Forces soldiers have every day failed to guarantee the security of the OSCE Special Monitoring Mission. Every day they tell our monitors that mines lie ahead, or that they just don't know if certain areas are free of mines. Our monitors are, as a result, unable to proceed further. Representatives of the Joint Center for Control and Coordination, whose role is to coordinate mine action between the sites and to assist in ensuring safe and unhindered access for the SMM, have failed too. There has been little or no coordination. An incident in Zolote on Sunday underlines the risk our monitors are exposed to every day. Despite wearing clearly marked and visible OSCE clothing, 2 heavy machine gun bullets whizzed past them just 2 meters away. Dear friends, I understand that demining is a sensitive in more ways than one. Mines are designed to kill and maim, and believe me, we have seen much of this in Donbass over the past 2.5 years. Mines also constitute a strange comfort zone for some people. Faced with aggression, people sometimes see in them an effective defense. They fear their removal, combined with the disengagement of forces and hardware, will mean their own towns or villages may fall victim to aggression. They ask, quite rightly, if we disengage and demine, how do we know the other side will do the same too? The mistrust is palpable. Dear friends, there is a lot of confusion and many false expectations. I have heard allegations, all of them unfounded, that the OSCE SMM is responsible for coordinating this engagement. We are not. The sites must coordinate between themselves, supported by the Joint Center for Control and Coordination. We have heard allegations that the OSCE SMM monitors must be present on the ground in the disengagement areas around the clock. Again, this is untrue. We do have a presence in all areas for at least 10 hours a day, 7 days a week, and for the remainder of the time, In accordance with the framework decision, we are committed to monitoring remotely using a variety of technologies available to us. These allegations tell me that there is an absolute misunderstanding of the role of the OSCE SMM. Let me be clear. In terms of disengagement, the role of the OSCE SMM is to monitor and verify disengagement and adherence to the ceasefire. I repeat, monitor and verify disengagement and adherence to the ceasefire. No less and no more. I reiterate this because it goes some way towards providing an explanation to the people asking questions about disengagement. Because the answer to their questions is in our role. How will they know that the other side will disengage and demine, they ask? They will know because the OSCE SMM will tell them. If the OSCE SMM has unhindered safe access, as it should in accordance with the framework decision, then we can monitor what is admittedly a sensitive and fragile process. If the sides demine and disengage in a synchronized and coordinated manner, and if the SMM has access, then we can provide verification. We can provide trust. There will be no need to fear that the other side has not disengaged. There will be no need to fear that the other side has not demined. Dear friends, since I last spoke to you, I am more convinced than ever that there is a genuine will to push forward in the disengagement process. I think more needs to be done in terms of translating that will into operational reality on the ground. Clear orders need to be transmitted to have the armed forces and armed formations on the ground remove or fence off explosive objects. Those on the ground need to understand it is their responsibility to ensure safety and secure access for the SMM in the disengagement areas. Clear instructions need to be given to the Joint Center for Control and Coordination. Representatives of the Ukrainian and Russian Federation armed forces in the JCCC must carry out the overall coordination of demining work, and they must contribute to rapid response to impediments to monitoring by the SMM. But more importantly, there needs to be a realization that doing nothing is not an option. Maintaining positions in close proximity is no answer to the fear of further aggression. The dynamics on the ground are complicated. There are many uncertainties. Familiar patterns are re-emerging. A period of relative calm and hope, following the sides' recommitment to the ceasefire on the occasion of the new school year, is coming to an end. The cycle of violence, which we have seen many times before, sees sudden surges and geographic shifts. The escalation around Mariupol fits into this pattern. A year ago, adherence to the ceasefire on the occasion of the new school year lasted about 2 months. A year on, the disengagement stalled, and the sides still in close proximity it is no surprise that we are seeing repetition. Even in areas immediately around the disengagement areas, violence has been recorded. On Sunday morning, our monitors in Solote observed a steady exchange of fire, recording over 60 mortar explosions, sporadic bursts of automatic grenade launchers, and heavy machine gun fire for over 1.5 hours. In the past few days, our monitors have also been recording violence in and around the Stanica Luhanska bridge. This violence does not justify not having disengaged. On the contrary, it underlines the necessity and urgency to disengage. Dear friends, if all the pieces in the disengagement jigsaw are in place, in particular access for the SMM, this violence can be avoided. Disengagement can be a win-win for all. This is not a zero-sum game. There is no retreat, no ceding of territory, just a separation of forces and hardware that will minimize the prospects of violence. I know there is political will to do this. I know the people on the ground in Donbass had enough of this senseless violence, and I know that disengagement is possible. It is not only possible, but imperative. If done, the first building block in a sustainable ceasefire will have been laid. It is surely time to start building a better future for all the people of Ukraine. We all have a common responsibility to make this work. And now, dear friends, as usual at the end of my statement, I would like to inform you about the latest mission numbers. As of today, the mission has 682 monitors, of whom 582 are deployed in the east. In addition, there are 321 Ukrainian colleagues and 92 other international staff working for the OSCE Special Monitoring Mission. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Чи є запитання або уточнення? Questions, yes.
Premier News. Okay. Yes, can I put my question?
Yes, yes, of course.
Okay, Mr. Alexander, what can you say about decision taken by European leaders during a Norman meeting about OSCE armed mission in Donbass? It's now that Russia and Ukraine both accepted it, and maybe you know the approximate terms or some details of this decision, when it will be put it in to life.
Thank you. As we have said before, the OSCE Special Monitoring Mission is an unarmed civilian observer mission. It is, as such, regulated in a mandate given to it by 57 participating states. Now, if this has to change, those 57 participating states need to make a new decision in consensus. And this decision will be taken by the Permanent Council of the OSCE in Vienna. But I repeat again, the OSCE Special Monitoring Mission is an unarmed civilian observer mission.
Thank you very much. Наступне запитання, прошу.
Пане Хух,
Mr. Hook, this Wednesday at the European Parliament, you talk about the secret part of the Minsk agreements. What did you mean? Because the Ukrainian side doesn't understand what you talked about, and they tell that there is no secret part of the Minsk agreements. There is only the map for disengagement. What did you mean?
Thank you. We have already clarified on our social media channels There are some agreements that had not been made fully public, for instance the addendum on the withdrawal of tanks and smaller caliber weapons, and there are some that had been made public. The statement was to the extent that there are some public agreements and some of them are not public.
Thank you very much. Наступне запитання. Seems like there are no more questions or clarifications. Thank you very much, and we'll finish the press conference here.
Thank you.